People out there to you. In this video, let's consider what the firm's short-run supply curve is given this set of cost curves. We're told that this is a perfectly competitive environment or a perfectly competitive firm in a competitive market. That's what that means. So their short-run supply curve is going to begin at the shutdown point, which is the point which they would stop producing in the short run, and any price that's higher than that. So our shutdown point is the minimum of average variable cost, or the point where marginal cost equals average variable cost. That's the lowest quantity that the firm is willing to produce, and that price has to be at least 3. Now, as the price rises, this firm is going to produce more products, and so we end up with this as our short run supply curve, which comes from the marginal cost curve above the average total cost curve. That's the short answer there. So marginal cost above 3. Now, there's a longer answer that has to do with the shutdown rule. So if you hang in here as to why this is the shutdown point, let's figure that out. So the shutdown point comes from the assumption that the firm can't exit the market in the short run, or in other words, it's stuck in the market unless it completely goes out of business. This would be like I don't know, like a pool or a water park during the winter. They're not going to close down forever, but they're not going to stay open during the winter because they're not going to cover enough of their costs to make it worthwhile. So here on this graph, we're going to think about this. And so we're really thinking about when can I pay into my fixed costs in order to make it worth my time. So let's calculate what the fixed costs are. Okay, so our average total cost, which is this curve right here, our average total cost is equal to our average variable cost plus our average fixed cost. And we want to figure out what our fixed costs are. And our fixed costs comes from just whatever the costs are that don't change. So the fixed cost is the fixed cost regardless of what the quantity is. But if I average those, then I can get that average fixed cost. If I divide by the quantity, then that gives me the average. That's what I have here. So let's actually use like 3 right here. Okay, so we'll use 3. The average variable cost when we're producing 3, we'll kind of say that that's like 350. Okay, so 350 is the average variable cost. We don't know the average fixed cost. We're going to figure that out. And then the average total cost we do know is 650. Now, this is a problem you can probably do in your head, but if you needed to, you could subtract 350 from this side, subtract 350 from this side, and the average fixed cost of producing 3 units is 3. We plug that in down here. We've got 3 equals our fixed cost over our quantity, which in that case was 3. Okay, so our fixed cost is 9. So if we can make enough total revenue to at least cover our variable costs, we can pay into this 9 and not lose as much money. This is somewhat counterintuitive. If the price is 5, we're going to produce to here, but we're actually losing money. So why would you produce if you're losing money? Well, the answer is because you would lose less money than if we shut down. So if we shut down, we always have to pay that 9. Okay, but if we produce, say the price is 5, okay, then we'd be selling around 2.5 units. So our total revenue would be about 2.5, which 5 times 2.5. Just want to make sure I get the right answer. I know people are sometimes checking my math out there. So the total revenue would be 12.5. Okay, so total revenue 12.5. And then our total cost, almost $7. You could also take the difference there. We could say that's like 660 minus 5. So it'd be like 160 times 2.5. 160 times 2.5, which is our quantity. And we'd be losing 4. Okay, you'd lose 4. Area-wise, you're going to be losing this amount here. This would be your loss. Okay, but I'd rather lose $4 than completely shut down and lose 9. Okay, now in the long run, I'll completely exit the market, but it makes more sense to have a loss minimizing, which is often what we say, quantity rather than produce or rather than shut down. Now, you can, if you go right here, the distance between our average total cost and our average variable cost is, if that's around 750, it's right around 450. And if I if I de-average that, multiply 450 by 2, I end up with 9. And so that's why this point right here would be the beginning. When the price goes up, my total revenue now becomes enough to pay into my fixed costs. And so that's an explanation about why this happens. It's a little bit deeper. But if you wanted just the short answer, you just look for where the minimum of average variable cost is. And then that's the beginning of our short run supply function for that firm.